And hello everybody, and welcome to today's TimelyFit class on making your tax digital. Now, we know tax isn't the most exciting topic in the world, but here in the UK, it's becoming a very, very important new thing that most businesses are going to have to do. So joining me today to help us get our head around it is the lovely Ria-Jaine Lincoln, the brains behind the Beauty Accountant. So thank you for joining me today, Ria-Jaine. I know you've got a very busy schedule, so thank you for taking the time out to chat to us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's great to be on. And go on, sorry.
Go on, you go.
I was going to say, and I hope that is going to be helpful what we talk about today, because I know we've spoken in the past and tax isn't the most exciting thing, but I'm trying my hardest to make it relevant. It doesn't have to be exciting, but just relevant for everybody.
Definitely. Now, for those of you who don't know Ria-Jaine, she's listed as one of the top 50 women in accounting across the globe, and has actually worked in the beauty industry herself as a qualified lash and nail technician. So she really knows her stuff when it comes to getting all this stuff done for our industry, because we know our industry is kind of a little bit of a bubble. We tend to do things a little bit differently. You know, I'm guilty myself of kind of chucking all my invoices in a bag and kind of ignoring them until the end of when the tax return actually needed to be done. So with 10 years of experience helping salon owners with business, cash flow management, financial targets and compliance, we are very, very lucky to have Ria-Jaine with us today. So if we can jump straight in, can you explain for those who don't know what making tax digital is?
Okay, so in really, I guess, simple terms, because it can get quite complicated when we're talking about tax, but it's just a way that HMRC believe they are making tax easier for business owners. So easier to report and making everything online so that it's easier to submit those figures to HMRC so that you can estimate your tax and make sure you're paying the right taxes and VAT in a nutshell. But whether it's helpful or not, or easier.
Yeah, they might think it's easier, but you know, we know that they tend to do a lot of things to try and make things easier that doesn't always do it. And why have they done this? Obviously it is to try and make it easier, but why do we need to kind of make our tax digital? What does that mean for us?
Okay, so I think it's a shift, I guess, for everybody. Everything going online, everything's kind of evolving to be online now and on the cloud. So it's a natural progression that you would have expected HMRC to take eventually. But what this means for business owners is just making sure that you've got platforms that allow you to collect all your tax information online or have a digital footprint or a digital link. And a real simple way to explain this is with online banking, you can download a CSV file. So that's like your digital link to your banking data. And that can be used as well for part of your making tax digital information. There's also bookkeeping software such as QuickBooks and things. I know Timely have got an integration with QuickBooks as well, which is compliant, so making MTD compliant, so that can be used as well. So it's just about getting yourself organised and using the online tools available to not only make sure that you can submit the data to HMRC in the correct format, because you have to use these MTD, making tax digital sources, excuse me, to submit your information. You have to opt out or you get a penalty. So you don't really have a choice in this, you have to do it. So I think as business owners, we just have to make sure that we've got the right tools to help us to do this as easy as possible. Because if you're submitting your tax information late, then there's penalties as well and interest can be applied. So it is really, really important.
And is this for everybody at the moment? I think at the minute, is it just for people over the VAT threshold?
Yeah, so at the moment it's for people that are over the VAT threshold, so over 85,000 if you're in the UK, but from April 22 I believe it's going to be for even those who are under the 85,000. So there's not many businesses that, well, some do register voluntarily, but it's not common in the beauty industry to register voluntarily. But if you are a business that was over 85,000 once upon a time and then you drop down below, you may have been able to opt out, but now you have to you know, you have to use those online resources. And also it's going to change. So this is just for VAT registered businesses, but there's also a pilot now for self-employed businesses. So that's the next phase, and that's going to be in place. MTD for self-employed businesses will be April 2023. So it sounds like it's a long way away. I know we're talking about the VAT businesses at the moment that have to do it, but if you are a sole trader and you're earning above the 10,000, which is the threshold, it's best to get your online system set up now so that you can take some time to get used to them, so that by April 2023 you're already doing what you need to do. So
yeah, I think it's really important, isn't it, like you say, to kind of get your head around it early before it kind of gets too late, because the closer it gets, the harder it's going to be. So I suppose if we can kind of iron out any kinks, understand it, because I would imagine kind of if you're new to software, it's not going to be the easiest thing to get your head around, of kind of looking at QuickBooks or Xero or something like that is going to be quite difficult.
Yeah, and I think you have to give yourself time to trial things as well, to demo, because there's so many softwares out there or processes. It doesn't have to be like a QuickBooks or a Xero. There's so many different options, or there's bridging software if you're using spreadsheets. But it's just finding the process that works for you, setting up the process, whether that's speaking to a professional to help you do that, and then I guess getting into the swing of things and into the habit of using it as well. So there's quite a few things to think about. And I know when you're working on the salon floor, it's, you know, it's the last thing you can do is just sit down and whip out your laptop, you know. It's not, you need to have that dedicated space. So even if you're just setting aside one day a month, if you think of it, you know, there's not many months left if you're only going to do your admin once a month and get your processes looked at. So I think the best thing to do is get on it now, even if it's just a call with someone, or making sure your booking system, so where you're booking your appointments, integrates with your bookkeeping system, then that's going to make a massive difference as well.
And are there other benefits other than obviously needing to do it for HMRC? Are there other benefits to going tax digital or kind of doing it online, other than just needing to for HMRC?
Yeah, definitely. You can automate all your bookkeeping processes. You know, if you're using something like QuickBooks, you can set up your business bank account to QuickBooks and it pulls in all your income and expenses. There is a bit of matching. It's not as simple as that. There's, you know, when you get into the habit of matching your transactions, like posting things to sales and expenses, then you can use your data and see how your business is performing. So I think going online is something that I encourage all of my clients to do, is to get online, and then you have a real view of your business performance. So I always say it's too late to look at your profit and loss at the end of the tax year. That's only good for finding out what tax to pay, but that's only good for HMRC. That's not good for you as a business owner or for anyone else. So you need to be looking at your data in real time rather than looking at historical data. And the only way you can do that quickly is if you're online, using the online tools available. You can have an app on your phone, on QuickBooks, or even with your booking system, you can see the sales, can't you? So how much your sales have come in for that month. So if you're able to actually look at your profit and loss, you can then estimate how much tax you're going to have to pay before the end of the tax year. And then you get almost an extra 9 to 12 months on top of what you would have to pay your tax. So it just helps with planning. It helps with goal setting, reviewing like your business, pathing out, you know, paving the way to see how much money you can take from your business. There's so many things, cash flow, forecasting, so many things you can do once you get online, and just seeing the trends in your business as well. So it's really, I highly recommend everybody to get online in some way, if they're not already.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot over the last sort of few weeks on our TimelyFit about cash flow forecasting and sort of money management, and kind of keeping that having that information available. And I think, like you say, just being able to see it at a glance very quickly makes a huge difference to being able to see that cash flow, doesn't it, and sort of tracking it all.
Yeah, and it gives you control as well. There's nothing worse than not knowing where you stand with your business and not knowing if you can afford a holiday, or, you know, of late recover from the pandemic, or know how your recovery is going. Everyone's quite keen at the moment to know how their business is going. So it's a difficult time with what's happening, but as an accountant, it's an exciting time to see business owners really interested in the figures and the performance of the business. So it's even more important to make sure they've got the tools to make sure they can do that.
Absolutely. And I think, like you say, you know, recovering from the pandemic is probably one of the biggest things on people's minds at the moment. So like you say, being able to track that is much easier. What sort of information do people need to be sort of syncing over? Obviously, you've mentioned Timely syncs with QuickBooks Zero, so we've got that information that they can sync over. But if they're not using a booking system, or they're not able to sync them through, what kind of information do they need to be kind of getting together and sort of storing and sort of exporting, if you like?
Yeah, so there's quite a lot. I have got a list, but it's all the sales information. So if you've got input VAT, so that's the VAT that you're spending on purchases you're making. So you need to have all your input VAT documents and sales, income and sales information. The business name needs to be kept on a digital kind of link, the VAT registration number, if there's any schemes that you're part of. So in the industry, the flat rate scheme is quite a common one that people use because it's easier to manage. You just have a smaller flat rate, but you can't claim input VAT on that, just in case anyone's thinking to run and switch to that. So yeah, it's all the business information, all the schemes, and then all the actual financial data, so the income and the expenses that you're making. And then once you have got that MTD compliant software or bridging software, so HMRC do have a link where you can find, you know, MTD compliant. They don't endorse any software, but they do, you know, have a means to help you to set up your processes. But I think it's a lot easier to go with something that's quite well established and well known, and that works either with your booking software or with others in your industry. And I'm a QuickBooks partner, so I use QuickBooks, but Xero, Free Agent, there's Numisma, there's so many, you know, options out there. So it's just about having a look to see what's available as well. But all of those softwares,
having it on your phone and stuff is a massive thing, isn't it? Because if you've got an invoice that comes in, you know, into the salon, you can whip your phone out quickly, take a picture of it and upload it, and that's kind of done then. And I suppose it's kind of setting that routine for yourself almost. Do you recommend people kind of obviously take time out once a month or once a week to kind of do that stuff so that it doesn't build up like mine used to?
Yeah, definitely. I just made a note when you was talking there about the invoices when they come in. So there is another app that I use called Dext. It was formerly known as Receipt Bank, so people might know it more as Receipt Bank than Dext. But it's just another app that links in with QuickBooks, and then you can take photos of receipts. So all your data will be collected on the cloud and synced with your own, you know, your booking system. And the reason I like Dext as well is it's got an email feature, because a lot of us get email receipts now. So a lot of people are printing off their emails, either putting them in a file or scanning them in or posting them to their accountant. But with Dext, you can forward the email. You have your own Dext email address, and you can just set up rules for your, you know, your email inbox. So when this receipt comes in, it goes straight to Dext, and that forms part of your records, and it's all automated. So that's the key, is to automate as much as possible. So whether that's linking your bank to your bookkeeping software or using something like Dext to collect all your receipts and invoices for you. Sometimes if you get the manual receipts, you know, if you're popping out or post office, you'll have to snap those either on the go. I recommend on the go, like as soon as you get in the car, just take a picture of it, obviously before you drive. Take a picture of it, and then you can throw it away. You don't need it. Disclaimer. Yes.
Love that. You can imagine people going down the road and be like, I'm just going to picture my receipt.
I know, my accountant told me, no, don't do that whilst you're driving. No. So, and also with Dext, there is a fetch feature. So Dext can actually connect to suppliers direct, so that every time you make an order, it updates your Dext account. So you've got all of your receipts for VAT, for your accounting records, all kept on the cloud for you, and it links in with QuickBooks. So it saves you a lot of time there as well, and then you don't have to keep all those back. Yeah, I use it all the time, and it's something that all of my clients have access to. I do with the QuickBooks, you can purchase a QuickBooks as an add-on, but with Dex, that's something I roll out to everyone, regardless, you know, whether they opt in or not. They can get that for free because I know that it works and it's so helpful as well. So I highly recommend that.
And is it something that most suppliers in our industry are aware of to use for accounting?
Yeah, no. So I have spoken to Dex Receipt Bank and said to them that most of the suppliers on there, you've got, you know, Calendly, Amazon, some of the common business ones, but it's not very beauty specific. But you do have an option to add suppliers. So if you can't find your supplier on there, you can add a supplier and then Dex will get in touch with them, and then there's a whole process to add them. So I'm constantly standing there typing all the beauty suppliers in. And I have had a conversation with Dex to see if we can start to, you know, approach some of the suppliers, because now in my practice alone, that, you know, I speak to hundreds of hair and beauty businesses that are using Dex. So I think it's an area they need to cover, really. So I will make a note to get in touch with them again about that as well. But I think suppliers,
and I think this is the thing, isn't it? Like,
yeah, I do think suppliers can reach out as well. So it's definitely worth it, if you're a supplier in the industry, to contact Receipt Bank Dex to see if there's an opportunity to have themselves listed on there, because it'll make it so much easier. But failing that, if you can't find the supplier on Receipt Bank, you do have the option, when you set up your online account with a supplier, you can pop in your Dex email address. So every time you make an order, the invoices go straight to that. So if, you know, you might be able to have a main address and then a billing email address. So that's another option as well.
And I think that's the thing, you hit the nail on the head. It's automating it as much as possible, isn't it? And making it super, super easy for everyone to do. And I think, you know, we in this industry, we do a lot of training, but doing tax and kind of the account side of running a business is not one of them. So anything we can do to kind of make it as easy as possible is ideal, really.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there are more, so even with the training, there's a few more options coming out in the industry around bookkeeping and accounts. I've got accredited workshops that I help, you know, business owners setting up their processes and everything anyway, but I also do quite a lot with suppliers and academies and brands in the industry to try and help the industry just to get to know some of these things, because you don't get taught this in school or anywhere. And, you know, most small business owners and some larger business owners, it's almost as if they're winging it when it comes to their bookkeeping and accounts, because there's just no guide, is there? And when you go to the gov.uk website, there's lots of information on there, but it's about knowing which information applies to you, because there's so much. So yeah, I can see it can be quite daunting. But yeah, it's not, as long as you're keeping track of all your income, all your expenses, and you've got those records for the relevant timeframes, then you'll be absolutely fine. The next step for yourself as a business owner is to then streamline all your processes, get everything automated, and then start really reviewing the business and using the books to help you. So to help you earn more money, to help you have more control, and to help you grow your business. The tax is, you know, that's just something you have to do, but that shouldn't be the task of having your bookkeeping and accounts.
Yeah, I think that perfect. You know, it is definitely kind of, it's the necessary, but actually, hopefully this will help a lot of people to grow their business and keep track of their cash flow and be able to forecast a lot easier and sort of build their business much, much quicker in that sense. If people want to reach out to you, I know you mentioned you do courses and obviously you are an accountant. If people want to reach out to you, how can they get in contact with you?
Okay, so the best page to follow on Instagram, because I'm mostly on Instagram, is the Beauty Accountant UK. So we do post a lot of our events and everything will be going onto that page. It's a fairly new page, just because the business is changing slightly with some of the growth. But if people want to speak to me direct, they can always message me on my direct page, which is Ria-Jaine Accounting for Beauty on Instagram, or my email address is ria@riajaineaccounts.co.uk. So that will come straight to me as well. So I'm just thinking, with the team growing, if people do want to get in touch with me direct, they're the best ways that they can do.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on with us today and talking about this. I know, as we said, it's not the most glamorous of topics, but it is probably one of the most important aspects of running your business. And I think it's always something that, people dread, it gets to the end of the year and they can't stand the idea of doing their tax return. So anything, we can do to make that a lot easier throughout the year is going to be amazing. So thank you so much for coming on today. Do you have any final words of wisdom for everybody?
Just don't be scared of technology. Honestly, it will make your life so much easier if you can streamline all your processes. And just good luck, and I hope everyone smashes it now. Things are starting to get back to normal a little bit, so good luck to everyone, because I know it's been an awful year, and well done to get into the other side.
Definitely. I second that 100%. It has been a very difficult year, but it's definitely picking up now, which is fantastic. So thanks everybody for joining us today. Thank you, Ria-Jaine, for taking some time out of your very busy schedule to come and talk to us. Next week we have Alex. Next week we have our next TimelyFit class coming up, which will be myself again. So you'll get to see my face again next week, and I will see you then. Have a lovely afternoon, everybody. Bye.